Hello and welcome to Dysfunctional Dialogue. I'm John McParland, and I got here with me my three buddies from our childhoods. I got Steve Macaluso, Joe Biss, and Pete Mosca. Let's get into it, guys. So one of my favorite stories and one of my worst nights was hanging out with Joe when, I don't know, Joe, how it was like 1980. We were going into the city to see the Kinks at Madison Square Garden.
Okay, I remember that now.
I mean, 1980, I was.
It might have been a little later than 80.
Yeah.
I remember that night like it was yesterday.
Do you really? So figure out the story then, because I ain't gonna remember.
Well, I'll tell the first part.
Yeah, tell us from your side of the story.
I'll tell my side of the story, and you can fill in all those blanks. And I'll try to truncate a little bit because it's kind of a long story. So we go in the city, and I had a bottle of Seagram 7, and I snuck in. Maybe you might have gotten it, Joe, and I snuck it in. And at one point, Joe goes, "Give me some," and I hand him the bottle. And there's like almost nothing left. So it was pretty ugly early. And I remember was it Red Ryder had warmed up for the Kinks. I remember that part pretty good. The Kinks, I barely remember. I had to go to the bathroom at one point. Joe was like, "Oh yeah, you go out there and you make a left." I go to do that, and there was no one down that side of the hallway. So I was like, "Oh, screw it." So I turned around the other way, and I was gone for the longest time. I don't know if you remember, Joe, but I was gone for the longest time. I was falling asleep on the wall. I was just barely stumbling around. People kept on bumping into me and saying, "Hey, man, are you all right, man? Are you all right?" I finally got to the restroom, and I came out of the restroom. I didn't know which way to go. So I ended up figuring I'll go. I actually had some common sense, and I walked in toward where the band was playing, and I said, "Oh, shoot, they were over there before. Now they're over there." So I had walked like halfway around the arena. And I ended up coming back. This actually happened twice, but again, for the purposes of truncating a little bit, I remember seeing Joe up in the stands. I mean, Joe had like really bright blonde hair and seeing that. So I'm trying to make my way up the stairs, and I fell down, and I was falling asleep there. People were stepping on me, saying, "Hey, man, you all right? Hey, man, you all right?" And it turns out it wasn't even Joe. And I finally make my way back. Joe grabs me. And again, this happened twice. And then Joe was like, "Enough. Let's just get out of here." So we go leave. And Joe didn't want to bring me down like the elevator or something like that. He goes, "Let's walk." We walk down the eternity, down a long, winding ramp. We get to the car, and Joe just says one thing to me. He goes, "Whatever you do, don't puke in my car. Let me know if you got to puke." We're on Route 80. We came off the GW. We're on Route 80. And the whole listen, Joe hears, "Puke." That's all I could get out. Puke. And Joe, you pulled over your orange Mustang, and I think the door unfortunately might have banged against the guardrail a little bit as I was heaving while you were driving along. We get back to my house, but Joe didn't want to drop me off in that condition. He's like, "Shit, what do I do?" Macalusa's light was on, brought me over there. I walk into the kitchen. I mumbled hello or something like that to everyone, and I stumbled by, and I banged into the door jamb at the end of their kitchen into that back room area. And I spun around, and just by pure happenstance, I fell right in that comfy rocking chair right in front of the TV. And apparently I passed out. I don't remember that part. But Steve, what was your memory of? And then allow me to jump in at the end when I went back home.
It was just me and Mary were the only ones up. And all of a sudden Joe comes in. He's like, "I don't know what to do with him." He comes in. He's like, boom. And like he said, he bounced off the wall, and he's in the chair. And he's laying there going like this. He's going. Like ready to puke, but not doing it. Like he's trying to breathe, but he's not getting there. And he's
not getting there.
Yeah. And Mary's like, "Well, what are you going to do with it?" And Joe's like, "I don't know. I know he's fucked up. He was puking, blah, blah, blah." He's probably stayed there for maybe a half an hour, and then just was like, "I'm out." And he just got up and left.
Did I really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He just got up. He was like, Joe's like, "Well, I better make sure he gets home." And I think Joe like stood on the corner.
Well, hold on. Let me jump in here. So let me jump in here.
John, it's amazing that you remember how passed out you were, because it's just amazing you remember that.
Yeah, well, it was pretty traumatic because the next thing that happened was I go back by myself in my mind. I went back, right? And I walk up to my back door. I said to myself, "I'm going to be nice and quiet. I'm going to come in. My parents probably are asleep by now. Shouldn't be a problem." And I come up to the back door, super quiet. I take a step forward, and the iron rake was facing the wrong direction. Oh. I stepped on it. banged me in the forehead.
I remember
And then
that.
I leaned back, and then I fell forward into the aluminum door. Bam, 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 bam. And I'm trying to regroup and getting my wits about me. And I look over, and all of a sudden I see Joe down by the sidewalk, just going, "Oh no!"
That's right. You did walk him up.
Yeah. I didn't even know he was there until I got my wits about me a little bit. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll get inside. I'll get a little bit, barely. I'm like, all right, whatever. I can still make this happen, right? I go inside, open up the door. My dad is sitting right there on the other side of the door, reading the paper. Did you have a good time? Completely just busted my chops. And I said to my dad, I'm like, yeah, it was great. It was great show. I'm going to take the dog for a walk. And I'm sure it came out, I'm not, right? And I made a mistake of, we would just like attach like the rope to the collar. Well, apparently someone had taken the collar off, and it was just the flea collar, which slips. So a squirrel or something had caught Brandy's attention. Brandy's gone. So here I am stumbling around, going through people's backyards down by like Rosemont and Parkview, finally, I'm like, please don't go any further. I picked her up, and I'm walking back, and just like all night at the garden, I tripped and I fell. Brandy yelped, and some van drove by, and the guy leans out, and what does he say?
Hey man, you all right?
Hey man, you all right? I puked my brains out last night. Terrence, I think, saved my life because he rolled me over. Yeah, man, that was ugly. Yeah. All right, Joe, that was my story.
I know. Your story was great, because I remember that now when you said, I was like, all right, we're gonna go and we'll get a little bottle, and then the next thing you know, like, John, you drank the whole fucking bottle. Like,
Sorry.
All right, so you want to do? It's not kind of a memory with you guys, but it's kind of a memory for me when we had. It was probably my senior year, and we had the you get dressed up for Halloween, but there was a party. We drank 151 rum in the morning, like before going to school.
Nice. You were the caterpillar, right?
No, I was on the front lawn in the middle of the day eating grass. I was eating grass in the front lawn. I don't know whose house it was. It might have been Gina Carfora's. It might have been some. But I was laying there eating grass.
That's a great visual.
Then I had to go home to my parents at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, or whatever it was, maybe 2, 3. Wow.
Grass stains all over his face.
Yeah. Like, and they were like, oh, how was school? I'm going to bed. Yeah. And then looked at me like, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
So I puke, and it looked like a dog's puke.
I got a good one for Joe too.
Okay.
It was back in the day of like when, I don't know, might have been 83, 84, MTV just came out. It was the summer. So, we'd go to your house and we'd, build the Wangenstein and have beers during the day, right? And it's like, now it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we've been drinking beers all day and doing whatever. And his parents are like, Joe, you got to go and pick up the pizza. So he goes up to Stefano's or whatever and gets the pizza, walks through his front door and drops the pie upside down, right in the hall as soon as he walked through the front door. I turned around and left. I didn't even wait for Mr. Biss to say anything to me. I just left. Yeah. He was like,
that one's Joe's problem.
And I don't even know. I heard, what the hell is, and that was it. I was done. Yeah. I remember that. That was a good day.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was,
You fuckers corrupted me. But I got another story.
You. Yeah. I corrupted you. Yeah.
You guys did it to him.
Yeah.
I drank.
Remember, I'm the youngest.
What's that?
I said, just remember, I'm the youngest.
Yeah, I know.
I used to have corruption going on. Used to be like, hey, Mary, can we take your brother up to the stores? Because I wasn't allowed to cross the highway. And she's like, yeah, but if you see anybody my parents know, just shove him in a clothes rack.
Too funny. Pete, you in? Or am I going?
Oh, no, you go. My brain is, go.
Yeah, okay. I have another story. We drank, I don't know if it was John, Steve, that we were drinking all day, and I had to play a baseball game. and I got hammered.
Oh.
We got hammered, and my father like took me to a baseball game, and I was in center field, and I was friggin' drunk as a skunk. I was like, oh fuck, nobody hit the ball to me. I got like 3 balls hit to me, and I missed every one of them. And they were like, what? And I was like, oh my god. I'm like, what am I? My father looked at me and goes, what are you doing? Like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, all right, before baseball games, we're never doing this again. I can't function.
Well, that's funny because I remember playing. I was in the Babe Ruth League, and we were playing a game. And actually, the opposing coach was Jimmy Golombisky. He was the opposing coach, and John and Joe show up to my game, right? So I'm playing, and they're like, "Hey, Nate, come on!" So I come over there, and I'm taking. They got rum and coke or something in these plastic cups, and I'm like 13 years old, you know. I'm like 13, and everybody. I had I had just gotten my ear pierced, so my brother I must have been 13 years old, and we were playing, and I'm over there sitting in the stands with these guys drinking, you know. Yeah, you guys were good to me.
Good influences.
Yeah,
you really didn't stand a chance, Steve.
Let's listen. No. Listen, you got to live a life that not many, can claim. I mean,
I know.
You got introduced early, which, helped you when you got older. You knew what not to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
You know what? And one of the things I was thinking of, you guys were like my sex education too, and it wasn't all like, hey, Nate, this is what's good. It was just hanging out with Joe, like watching HBO at like 11 o'clock when it was like, HBO used to be soft porn. I remember watching HBO by Joe's house and watching Animal House. And as soon as he's up on the ladder and the chick starts getting undressed, his parents come home.
Oh.
Right? And they walk in and they come out and they go to Joe. Mr. Piss goes, come here. And Joe leaves and he comes back and he's like, yeah, you got to leave. And Pete would just be off the cuff. We'd be hanging out doing something completely different. And all of a sudden he'd be like, hey, Nate, just remember, if it smells bad, don't lick it.
Good luck, Pete.
Oh, God.